Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and it's such a pleasure to really welcome you virtually live once again from ground control here in SAF in the very wintry Riga, here from Latvia. And you won't believe who has joined me this evening.
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus is really here for tonight, and he's going to be my co-chair and co-anchor, and I'm so happy to allow us to have you really here, as this event is truly a partnership actually between our organizations as well as LIAA, the Latvian Investment and Development Agency, and we're so happy to have several moderators actually for the night, which I think will be a very big benefit actually for the discussion that we have with our participants here tonight. So once again, my name is LIAA Stūrmane. I'm the Managing Director of the Latvian Exporters Association, and Lauris will join me for tonight and hopefully several other times throughout next year. And he's the co-president actually of the Latvian American Chamber of Commerce. So really building a strong partnership throughout this year as well as future webinars to come. So this is the fourth webinar actually of the year. I can't believe that 4 events have passed, and we truly do our best to really give our best to showcase you the business stories of Latvia and the export potential actually that is there from the fantastic companies that we can provide to the world, and really imagine what other great things might come for them. And we had actually the first event here just a couple of months ago with companies like SAF, Mikrotika and Azeron. We have also heard from companies like Printful, Catchbox, TestDevLab, as well as Riga Woods. So these are just the few companies we've had up to date, but as there are 6 events to come next year, every other month to really have the calendar run smoothly throughout 2024, we are very happy to really welcome you also to join us for those webinars, as there is so much more to tell and inspire regarding the innovativeness, creativity, and business potential that the Latvian business companies can provide, especially to the US market. And this will actually pave the way for the next spotlights that will happen in 2025, and more on that by my colleagues later today. And first of all, let's kick off today's webinar with a very, very fresh video from our LIAA colleagues on Mission Latvia and the topic of values. Please.
Latvia. It's a runway from which ideas soar and travel with the winds of the world. And so it has been from the very start. Difficult times have shaped us, refining our ability to try out, to experiment, and ultimately to see the value in both the simple and the complex. Whether it's snow and ice paving the way to brilliant victories, or cutting-edge military communication technologies safeguarding security and bridging connections across the globe, the people of Latvia infuse heart, creativity, and power into every string they touch. It's in our nature to be part of nature, embracing the challenges of today and tomorrow on a global scale, surprising others with our skills and determination. Where does our strength spring from? It comes from connecting eco-friendly with essential, traditional with futuristic technologies, craftsmanship with visionaries, voices with dance steps, and hard work with the sweet fruits of labor. We're right here, amidst forests, rivers, meadows, and the sea, determined to ascend towards the next accomplishments. Latvia, it's a playground for creative experimentation, a connector of worlds, always ready for new challenges. Restless in nature, united in mission. Mission Latvia.
Restless in nature, Mission Latvia. If you're wondering where these fantastic videos actually are being held, please visit latvia.eu, and there's both the toolbox as well as the video section, and you can really download these videos and use them accordingly to really showcase Latvia's true potential, creativity, business potential, and our values, our core values, as well as developments and successes both in sport, culture, as well as everyday life. Please be quite active participants of the day. The chat function in Zoom is really there for you to really engage and ask questions to all of our panelists for today, and really help me and Loris navigate today's debate.
Thank you, Liva. So good afternoon, good morning, I guess good evening, wherever you happen to find yourself. And Liva was not kidding. It is extraordinarily, very much like a winter wonderland here in Riga. Coming from Boston last night, it was nice to sort of come in this time of the year with everyone in a very festive holiday mood. So I extend my thanks to all of you who are watching here today. And it's my good honor and fortune to be able to introduce our first guest. Mārtiņš Andersons is the president of LIAA, the American Latvian Association. He was just re-elected for his third year, so you've got my deepest congratulations, Mārtiņš. Thank you. But he is going to spend a little bit of time sharing the latest on what LIAA is looking at in terms of how it can better develop and foster, from an economic perspective, the relationships between Latvia and the U.S. So with that said, Mārtiņš, please.
Thank you for that introduction, Laura, and good evening to both of you, and hello to everyone who's watching from afar. Before I begin with my remarks, I'd like to start with a short video that gives an overview of the American Latvian Association, what it is and what it is exactly that we do. So I'm not sure if I have to launch that here, or are you guys you've got it. Okay, great, let's go.
The origins of the American Latvian Association can be found among the patriotic Latvians forced to flee Latvia as a result of World War II and its Soviet occupation. LIAA's strength stems from every Latvian organization that has joined the association beginning in the 1950s, together forming a little Latvia abroad. When the Soviet Union forcibly annexed Latvia following World War II, LIAA tirelessly defended the idea of a free and independent Latvia while preserving ties to the homeland. LIAA relentlessly reminded the world of Latvia's illegal occupation so that the fate of Latvia and its people would not be forgotten, not by the US Congress nor the President. With the restoration of Latvia's independence, LIAA undertook an active role in Latvia's major national issues, including promotion of its membership in NATO. To be a Latvian abroad is not a given. It's a choice. That's why we'll never stop. To keep Latvia strong, we continuously work with government representatives, help forge business ties, and to date, have raised more than $4 million for underprivileged families in Latvia. To remain a vital part of Latvia's story, we actively work with Latvia's government and various Latvian organizations. To promote the Latvian culture, LIAA ensures an active cultural calendar and has supported 15 Latvian song and dance festivals in the US. To preserve the Latvian language, LIAA supports a network of Latvian schools in the US, promotes the education of teachers and students alike, and sustains summer camps and internship programs. LIAA's strength is the strength of many. Be a part of it. Join us.
As you saw in that video, the American Latvian Association, or LIAA as we call it for short, has a broad spectrum of activities. But today, I'd like to drill down on the things that we are doing in the business and economic arena. To start with, I'd like to talk about some of our partnerships. Most of you are probably aware that there are numerous Latvian entities or organizations that share this business focus, and LIAA partners with most of them. Of course, first and foremost, I'll mention the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We have a great working relationship with the ambassador in Washington, but even more frequently, we're interacting with the honorary consuls of Latvia who are spread across the United States. For those of you who don't know, these honorary consuls are experienced or successful business people who have been empowered by the Latvian government to represent Latvia, both in terms of diplomatic affairs, but more importantly and relevant to today's discussion on business and economic matters. And if you're interested in working with them, I encourage you to visit the Foreign Ministry's website, where you can see the names and contact information for all of the honorary consuls in the United States. LIAA often works together with these honorary consuls as well as the ambassador when there are delegations from Latvia of entrepreneurs or Latvian companies, and we help organize visits with investors or potential business partners. So we consider these honorary consuls and the ambassadors true partners on that front. Similarly, the Latvian Investment and Development Agency has representatives in San Francisco and Boston. We work closely with them as well whenever there are delegations visiting those cities or elsewhere in the United States where we have our own board members. And I'd also mention briefly LIAA's ambassador program. I'll get into the details further in my remarks, but it's another way that we help promote Latvia as a destination for investment. Next, of course, I have to mention the Latvian American Chamber of Commerce, of which Lauris is co-president. LACC was actually co-founded by Alla, together with the Embassy in Washington and enterprising Latvian Americans in the Chicago area. We sit on the board of LACC and are actively involved in planning programming and events all across the United States. I'll mention that LACC has 12 regional directors who are responsible for creating content and events in their respective areas, and Alla often plays a role in organizing those events as well. Of course, here in Riga, we have the American Chamber of Commerce, of which Alla is also a member, so we are frequently attending their events, and we are also currently working together with AmCham on an initiative trying to attract or make Latvia even more appealing to foreign investors. Perhaps we'll be sharing some details of that later on. And then last, of course, the Latvian Exporters Association, the Red Jackets. Through our involvement with LACC, Alla also works together with Red Jackets, including on this series, Mini Spotlight, which brings me to my next topic, events. Alla is actively involved in several large business events, either as a major sponsor or as an active participant. I'll mention the first one there on the left, the World Latvian Economics and Innovations Forum, or PLAIF as we call it for short in Latvian, started 10 years ago by one of Alla's former presidents, Jānis Kukains. PLAIF's initial focus was to encourage networking among Latvian Americans with business experience and entrepreneurs in Latvia. However, it's grown into a kind of mini Davos that attracts not only entrepreneurs, but business leaders and politicians. This past summer's PLAIF was especially well attended with over 500 attendees. So I would consider all of you to attend PLAIF in the future, the next time we organize it. Similarly, we have Spotlight Latvia. This is a business conference that was first held in 2017 in Chicago and was co-hosted by Alla, the Latvian Embassy in Washington, and Latvian business leaders in the Chicago area. Like PLAIF, Spotlight Latvia has a primary focus on networking, but is solely focused on the U.S. market and building bilateral bridges between the U.S. and Latvia. Also, every Spotlight Latvia is built around one or more themes. For example, the last Spotlight this past September was held in Boston and focused on education and technology. In Boston, we had over 250 participants and were honored to have Latvia's president and foreign minister deliver opening remarks. The next Spotlight Latvia, as Liva alluded to, will be in 2025, most likely in Michigan, and I encourage all of you to attend. Next, of course, is this event that we're hosting right now, Mini Spotlight. If you're watching, you already know what this is about probably, but to remind you, each Mini Spotlight features several successful Latvian companies sharing their experiences and tips for doing business in the U.S. market, and I'm honored I could be part of this one today. Last, in English we have this phrase, put your money where your mouth is. Or to paraphrase, actions speak louder than words. So I've highlighted here 3 examples, in addition to our partner and event work, of how Alla has or is investing in Latvia's economic success. Starting on the left, there's a reason I began my remarks with a video. Other than self-promotion, I wanted to highlight the great work of the award-winning video production company Sense Media, based in LIAA. They were a featured company at Spotlight Latvia a couple of years ago in Los Angeles, right around the time Alla was looking to revamp its marketing strategy. We were impressed by their presentation and engaged them to create a couple of videos for us, including the one you saw. Needless to say, we were very happy with the result. Next, of course, most of you have already heard about Latvia's first unicorn company, Printful. I've highlighted them here because they produce all of Alla's swag, or merchandise, as we say, that is available on our online store on our website, allausa.org. So we're happy we can help them earn some money while promoting Alla at the same time. And then last, I have an image here which is kind of meant to be a catch-all to represent the other active work that LIAA does to build business bridges between the US and Latvia. Specifically, as part of the partnership work I mentioned earlier, there are a couple of investor-focused events tentatively scheduled for next year, both in the United States and in Latvia, where LIAA is in preliminary discussions about possibly organizing meetings between investors and entrepreneurs, respectively, in those two countries. I hope to share more details on those events at a later date. Also, I alluded to it earlier, but I wanted to highlight LIAA's Great Ambassador Program. This is a program where Latvians abroad sign up to be brand ambassadors of Latvia, helping to market Latvia as a business destination and also to share their contacts or experience. LIAA is also an active participant in this program, and I encourage those of you watching from the United States, if you're business-minded, to sign up, and those of you who are entrepreneurs in Latvia to leverage it if you're considering the US market. In closing, I'd like to remind everyone that everything LIAA does is entirely due to the generous financial support of our donors. Without them, without you, none of what we do would be possible. So I just want to say paldies and thank you for your support.
Thank you, Mārtiņš. And I would echo a lot of what Mārtiņš just shared in terms of LIAA's ongoing financial communication and call it moral support for fostering deeper, more productive economic ties between the U.S. and Latvia. The Latvian American Chamber of Commerce, as Mārtiņš mentioned, came out of LIAA and a bunch of very creative and enthused Chicagoans. And I think it's a mantle we're trying to grow upon. And I know we've worked closely in the past year and 18 to 18 months putting together Spotlight in Boston, and I think we've got envisioned a lot of upcoming events. But I would ask you to draw out a little bit. You mentioned that there might be some upcoming events next year, but I guess for those who are in the States who are thinking about how could I possibly look at Latvia and whether investing capital or just time and effort, what should I be thinking about? Once upon a time, 80s and the 90s, there were some funds put together, but they've kind of withered away. What would be important for someone sitting in the States right now who wants to look at Latvia as a possible source of investment?
Well, I'd begin with maybe a little commercial. There are a couple of avenues that people could leverage already today. I think those of you who are attending, or those who were attending Spotlight Latvia in Boston heard from Raimons Kulbergs, a Bad Ideas Fund, right? And I'll let him at a later date maybe tell more about that. And then of course, most of us also know Andris Bērziņš and his involvement with TechChill. He has his own fund. So those are two places where you could go today. But I think there are other ideas brewing as far as having an ability to contribute capital to Latvia and the Latvian market. But one thing I would say is that for anyone who's organizing such a fund, hint, hint, any investor abroad, whether it be a wealthy Latvian American or a wealthy Lithuanian American or Estonian Latvian, is going to want to look at this as a regional investment, not just a specific Latvian investment, because it's all about diversification. So any kind of pitch or marketing material that's presented should probably talk about the region.
I think that's a wise bit of advice, and I think that's something that, again, the LACC, in collaboration with LIAA and some of the other entities you've mentioned, I think we're trying to be more thoughtful about how can we get more scale from the people who do have an interest in throwing together some money and investing some of the great firms that we've heard from already on the mini Spotlight series, but more that are out there that I think are really important. I guess you mentioned at one point earlier that you'd like to see, or you're working actively to help make Latvia sort of a more competitive, more attractive place. Do you want to share a little bit more about what's going on there? Or how would you like, how could Latvia perhaps be better and more attractive in the eyes, I guess, of an American investor?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, come to the United States. The U.S., maybe unlike maybe markets in Europe, has its unique cultural flavor and flair. I think in some of the earlier spotlights, mini spotlights, we've heard about some of the cultural and linguistic nuances, and I can't emphasize enough how important it is to become familiar with those. And you're not going to become familiar with those with just one trip. So if I'm a Latvian entrepreneur considering the U.S. market, it's really about visiting multiple times, talking to as many locals as you possibly can, and ultimately, when the time is right, maybe finding that American partner who has the lingo, has the jargon that is probably going to be more familiar to your target customers, to your target audience.
Do you have any stories that you could actually tell about the Latvian diaspora in the U.S. really helping or investing in a company, whether it's a startup or already an exporter, something that we could maybe draw back also in history, but something that was a friendly hand or the first check or the renting of a storage unit,
right,
or even the address on the mailbox, something very tangible that
yeah,
we could,
well, I'll go back to my first example in terms of Alla writing a nice big check to Sense Media for those marketing videos, and we were happy to do that. So that's a concrete example. But I would say, I think a lot of those early, that early assistance that was maybe delivered by Latvian Americans to Latvian entrepreneurs was in the background. It was with content sharing. It wasn't necessarily in a very overt, recognizable, tangible way, but really contact sharing, experience sharing, just helping some of those first entrepreneurs understand the uniqueness of the U.S. market.
And I guess what I would bolt on to what Mārtiņš is saying as well is that if you're here in Latvia and you're looking to find help or a partner or someone to help you enter the U.S. market, I think to Mārtiņš's point, it is not a quick, easy trip. You need to really plan on a longer, lengthier voyage. It's definitely a marathon, not a sprint. Mm-hmm. And I'd also encourage you, whether it's the LACC or LIAA, you reach out to someone and try to find the right contact. It may not always be the first person you connect with. For instance, we've had a number of people reach out to the chamber, and in some cases we don't have a connection within our membership. And to the extent possible, we do want to try to connect, whether it's a Latvian entrepreneur coming to the US or vice versa. But sometimes it takes us time too, because even though Latvia is a small place and you're always one handshake from the president or prime minister, doesn't always mean you're going to know immediately the right person to connect with. So I know we've had a number of different industries, whether it's ceramics or services or a variety of different sort of end things that an entrepreneur is looking to buy or sell. But it's a voyage, and I would definitely keep asking until you find someone who can help you.
As I was listening to Lauris's response, I was thinking about your question, but I was looking over his shoulder, and actually, Soft Technica, as I recall, anecdotally, Jānis Bergs, when he first came to the United States, he was sleeping on people's couches that he had just met that day. So maybe that's an example in the line that you were looking for, for those Latvians opening their doors.
Very good, but actually I also wanted to build on what you said about the events. We talked about the World Latvian Economic Forum as well as Spotlight, and actually all of the companies in your slide, Printful, Sense Media, Supliful, and Brain Games, all of them were at one or the other Spotlight. So if we're talking about just one trip doesn't make everything and open all the doors, but actually these events, these big conferences, and I get the question asked so many times, it's just another business conference, but actually to have 250 people in the room that are there to really help you to open the doors and navigate the market and help you in what you said about the context, and even if it's a couch to really live on for the night. But it's very, very important, and in our small Latvian environment, it really opens a lot of doors.
Yeah, and I'm unfortunately I can't remember the name of the company, but there was also an episode that I personally was involved in out in San Francisco. As I mentioned during my presentation, I have a good working relationship with the LIAA representative out there, Tom Zvidriņš, and at that time he had a delegation of Latvian entrepreneurs, and he had made all the arrangements, including renting a house, a VRBO or a Booking.com situation, and at the last minute it fell apart. The entrepreneurs, they had landed, they were ready to move into their house, and the owner wasn't answering the phone, and they had no way of getting into it. And then I got a phone call from Tuoms, Mārtiņš, can you help us? And it just so happened that I had a vacant property available at that time, and so I was able to hand over the keys and provide an instant Booking.com solution for this company. So
it really pays well to know the Latvians abroad.
My takeaway is we should stay with Mārtiņš's place in San Francisco. No, but I would echo that. Just, I mean, again, keep asking for connections, because inevitably there's someone who can probably help you. The question is, how long does it take you to find that right contact, that right connection?
Yeah, and here I have to maybe deliver a little bit of an admonishment in a friendly way. Latvian Americans, we have a lot of contacts. We're willing to help, but at the same time, we are sharing in our contact list. We are risking our reputation when we put together these contacts with those entrepreneurs. So I would ask all of the entrepreneurs out there, take this seriously. Be respectful of those contacts, and if we share a contact or suggest that you reach out to someone, actually do it, or don't drop the ball, because ultimately that will reflect badly on us as well. So it's about following up and delivering on what you're inquiring about.
Great.
No, definitely. I call these actually karma points.
Right.
And we all have a certain set, whether it be 100. And if you ask me for a favor, I can definitely help you. But you really have to follow up with that other person that you have recommended. So really stay true to your word and deliver on the promises you have made. And remember that you're representing a whole nation in that sense. So it kind of really matters.
We're ambassadors, all of us, right?
All of us, every single one. Thank you, Mārtiņš, so much for joining us here today. We're going to have fantastic events in the near future together as well. Thank you for your support for the mini spotlight event as well, and good luck.
Thank you for the invitation, and I hope to see some of you entrepreneurs in the US soon.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to really the case stories of today. And we have, as we mentioned before, two exciting companies coming your way. Mārtiņš Lasmanis, the CEO of Supliful, actually has shared his story on the Mini Spotlight webinar. Please take a seat. Has shared his story when we were actually only filming from our businesses in our home, in our small offices or our living rooms. And he's joined here today by the by the next generation. So really, Mārtiņš, yes, the CEO of Supliful. You were also an attendee of the Spotlight in Los Angeles, and maybe share how has it been since then, what has happened, how extensively you have grown in the US market, and what can we do to help you even more? Please, the floor is yours.
Yep, all right. Thanks LIAA, Lauris, for inviting me again. It's a pleasure to be here. Today I'm joined by my 2-year-old son Fricis, and his brother is actually outside as well, so I hope that everything will be fine. But yeah, I'm happy to share the story, how things has been developing with Supliful over the past, I think it's almost 16 months since we were in Los Angeles, so it's been quite a challenge. Okay, he's gone. But yeah, so thanks for the intro. So I'm co-founder and CEO of Supliful, and in a couple of minutes I'm going to share the story of what we've built, what we plan to do, explain how the business works, and share kind of our story. So in an essence, Supliful is the most advanced software infrastructure that makes it easy for entrepreneurs to launch and operate scalable skincare, supplement, or packaged food brands with one click. And this whole business started, the clicker doesn't work.
Should it work for Mārtiņš?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that was the last slide. No worries, it's the same slides. So, Frici, I have to stay here and I have to present. Okay? Frici, man te ir jāpaliek un jāprezentē. Es nevaru aiziet. Tu ies pie brāļa? Okay. So yeah, this is a challenge of actually having 3 children and managing them while I'm running the business. So we started Supliful in 2021 with a problem that we had with our founders. So when we sold our first e-commerce business that we also built in the US, actually on top of Printful infrastructure, we realized that we want to do something next, something bigger. We were ourselves fascinated by healthy lifestyle, and we wanted to launch a personalized meal replacement brand or a supplement brand. And we very quickly realized that it is a massive challenge to do this for ourselves, because it took us literally months to find the right production partners. When you find the right production partners, you need to invest tons of money in inventory, as well as just the communication is super cumbersome. So there's no easy and streamlined way to launch these products into the market. And eventually it causes a massive risk, because before those products are actually there, you don't know whether they're going to sell or not. So coming from that print-on-demand background, we instantly realized an unmet need in another niche is to develop a platform that is an on-demand production of consumer packaged goods. And we're starting with food and beverage brands, supplements, and soon venturing into skincare. And it works seamlessly. When people come to our platform, they source from high-quality products, label them with their own brand, publish it on their online sales channel, be it Amazon, Shopify, WooCommerce, or any type of online store, and start selling. When they make a sale, we do everything on their behalf. We prepare, pack these products, and ship it to the end consumer. And the entrepreneurs, they don't need to worry about these operations, and everything happens seamlessly for them. And the best part is that they pay as they go, meaning there's no minimum cost for inventory. And we have built a robust infrastructure that literally consists of two main parts. One part is this user-facing dashboard where people choose the products, create the label, and connect them to the online sales channels. And the operational backend, where we collect all the order information, verify product labels, distribute the products across different suppliers and different multiple warehouses. And that has literally took us to build about more than, I think, 36 months. And our growth has been stellar. And it's just because we have a world-class team of operators. We scaled our team from just 15 people in July this year to close to 40 team members at the moment. And this year we're on track to hit 5 million in revenue. We have shipped out only this year 180,000 items. And what we're most excited about when it comes to these metrics is the fact that about 30% of all these products and all this revenue is reoccurring. Because a lot of our customers put their end consumers on subscriptions. Because let's say they buy a testosterone supplement, and of course it runs out after a month and they need to restock the item, so they purchase it again. And the growth has been extremely impressive. So in 2021 we did 200K in revenue, in 2022 we did 800K in revenue, and this year we're going to do 5 million in revenue. And the plan is very ambitious for the next year, and we plan to 10x this operation. We are already moving to a 3 times bigger facility in Denver. We have expanded our supplier network to close to 20 suppliers, as well as improve the distribution in the US market with multiple third-party logistics partners. And to mention, of course, all this business and operation is in the US. So that is our main market, and 95% of revenue is coming from there. Our team is mostly based in Latvia, about 27 people. We have close to 10 employees in Denver, Colorado, and the rest of 7 to 10 people are distributed across multiple places in Europe as well as in Asia. And our goal with this business and our mission within the next 3 to 4 years is to enable 100 7-figure businesses on top of Supliful. And here's a case study of Mason. Mason started with us very early in late 2021, and he has now scaled his business. This year he's going to do multiple 7 figures, basically a couple of millions in revenue with Supliful, and we've literally changed his life. He moved from his mother's basement, and now he's living in Miami, building this business, creating more and more partnerships. And this type of case studies and situations makes us extremely happy, and we truly believe that we've built something valuable here. And this is what gets us going every day. And what's even more exciting is the fact that we've probably deployed only about 20% of our ideas. So the growth that we will see in the coming years is going to be extremely strong, and we believe that we will continue to deliver exceptional value to our customers. And these are testimonials and feedback from our service and how we've built it. And as you can see, that people pretty much love what we have created, and that of course warms our hearts as well. And a bit about our business model. So it's a mix of things that we run here. So one is like a subscription revenue driver, where we have subscriptions to the platform for premium services, as well as we help people launch online stores. We help them design labels and even logos. And another part is that once we deliver these sellers to producers, we add a markup on top of all the products that we list on the catalog. And if we, of course, look at the market opportunity, we believe this is extremely huge. We are just starting with the first vertical, which is kind of supplements. We already have coffees in our product catalog. We start to venture into skincare. So by the end of the year, we're going to launch about 20 to 30 new products in the skincare industry. And eventually we are attacking any type of consumer packaged goods verticals that meet three main criteria. They are easy to ship with e-commerce supply chains, they have a long shelf life, and you can personalize them in a way. So think even household goods, pet supplements, a huge category. So pretty much this is $1 trillion industry that we are after, and we are entirely sure that we are completely changing and revolutionizing the way these products are launched and after operated into the market. So yeah, this is us. Thanks for listening, for the presentation, and I welcome your questions, and I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mārtiņš. It is remarkable the growth you've had since when we last talked in Los Angeles. To your point,
yeah.
You know, you're 4x your first year, you're 5x this year, you're looking at 10x next year.
Yeah.
That growth is remarkable in any business, in any country, in any industry. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I guess go back to the beginning. You mentioned you'd had a previous successful business.
Yeah.
How did you find your first resellers? So it seems like your model is you're really a platform that people can come to you, you take care of all the logistics, they find the end buyer, they sell it, you take a piece.
Yeah.
How did you find the first people? How do they find you now? If there's someone who's watching who wants to be, you know, it's almost like Amway is a relatively famous business in the US that's built on the same model. So
exactly, Laurus. So this is almost like a modern Amway. Basically Amway online as well, you might look at it as well. So if you look at Amway business and us, you can potentially see the opportunity and potential this can become in the next, let's say, 5 years. But how do we find our users? So we were very strategic initially about SEO. So now we rank first ones on keywords like supplements on demand, private label on demand in the US. So this is what we did strategically from day one when we started this business. Number two, what has worked very well, we keep ranking on Shopify ecosystem. So this is the main integration and online channel that we currently have. And we're the top 10 dropshipping app there on this platform. And we keep ranking on product sourcing, where we're now top 20 out of like 350 or something, like app solutions that help to enable product discovery. But what has really kind of worked very well this year is our affiliate marketing. It's somewhat happened in an ad hoc way, but we didn't plan. But one, let's say, TikTok creator, influencer, he made a video about Supliful, how easy it is to build products and brands on top of this service, and it got millions of views in the US, millions. And we went from like 50 people that left their credit card in the platform per day to 1,500 and per day, and that kind of created an influx, it created visibility, and what we start to hear now is actually huge word of mouth that people start hearing just about this type of service being available. Because look, in the US, it's organic growth, everything. Like we're spending $30,000 on marketing per month. It's like pennies, basically. It's nothing. You don't get any visibility for that kind of money. So we're very happy that the growth is happening organically, and we plan to keep it this way.
Fantastic. You mentioned the new verticals that you want to really enter, and you have so much more to offer, the new Amway and then pet care and anything else. Do you also want to expand to other markets, or do you see that there's so much more to be done in the US? What's your plan?
So the focus for the next year will be definitely to still just focus on the US market mainly, 95% of revenue coming from there. International deliveries of products, it's happening, it's there, but it's very suboptimal, and I don't encourage anyone to use these because they're expensive. There are a lot of challenges with customs. So I see the geographical expansion more like fragmented, because delivering t-shirts across the world is one thing, but when it comes to food supplements or food or even skincare, there's different regulations. It's extremely fragmented across the world in each of those markets. So we see that we're going to unlock new geographies by partnering with suppliers in those specific countries or regions.
So, as you know, the U.S. is, even though it's massive, there are distinct regions to it. You know, each state's a little bit different in terms of how they think about things like taxation, which can be a challenge when you're an e-commerce provider. Like, how do you think about things like regulation and the FDA? You're selling what could be, in some cases, regulated testosterone or whatever the case is. How did you get that expertise? Because that's something you just would know, by itself. Like, how did you prepare yourselves for that particular requirement?
So number one, what I really admire about U.S. like administration and regulation, they are extremely pro-business. So they would never like come in and block you that you can't do business, right? They're pretty much like, if it's a first warning and you even acknowledge that you know this and you're going to make changes, it's usually like, okay, let's make changes, like make this work. And that's number one. Like recently we had one of our shipments got flagged by FDA, so they just came, they checked the products, they went to the analysis, it was a normal process. They didn't like had any questions about our operations, so everything went very well, right? But of course we strictly follow all the guidelines that regulate the labeling process of these food supplements or also food products in general. We are now working into enabling an AI-based verification system for the labels, because it's against the law if you let's say you start selling vitamin C and you claim that it cures cancer, right? You can't do that. You can't. So now we're doing it basically manually. A human checks all the new products and all the new labels that want to sell. But eventually it's going to be an AI that's basically trained on the FDA guidelines, and then they just automatically check these labels. But of course, regulation is a big part of this. But at the flip side, there's always, of course, risk that someone will litigate or someone come after you. So we're protected against that by ensuring our operation, all our products. And we suggest to do the same thing for all of our resellers of these products, to get product liability insurance, because if someone decides to sue you and they're very aggressive, they just go after everyone.
America can be very litigious. So we have one question that's come in, and then we'll probably move on to Egils. But as you think about sort of the marketplace, the wonderful thing is you can customize it for almost everyone who walks in. To your point, that's part of what your thing is. Do you have any concern, though, that you might see this oversaturation of individualized products, that there would be no continuity across the product line, or is that not something you worry about?
To be honest, no. Because people are not buying products. People are buying stories. They're buying a lifestyle. This is what they buy. But Of course, we are aware of this, and for our top-selling accounts, we already help them develop totally unique products that are not listed on the platform, that are unique packaging, and eventually that type of service in, I foresee, 3 years would be available for anyone that just comes to the platform. They can choose the packaging, they can design the products on an ingredient level, and launch totally unique products. And a reminder to everyone is that we just have 72 products on the catalog. In comparison, print-on-demand, Printful has like a couple of thousands of different type of products. So we're just like getting started in terms of what we can offer. And once there's a huge variability of products, that worry reduces more and more.
Excellent.
Maybe the very last one. What can we do to help?
There's two big problems, I guess. What I've seen in the US, what I didn't expect would be that challenging. So number one is literally access to capital. Mm-hmm. It's very hard for foreign founders. Just like loans, forget about it. Even if I would get a social security number tomorrow, I wouldn't get a loan because I have no credit history, even if I want to take that for a business. And number two is actually a tip that I definitely didn't take to heart from Davis Siksnants from Printful, but hiring good people is extremely challenging, especially like people that do the work in the warehouse. There's huge changing of people. Yeah. So although we try to focus on paying above the market salaries with some people, and eventually we plan to give all the team members stock options, even the one that is on the kind of production floor. It's still very challenging, and those are, I would say, the biggest two challenges I face as we build in the U.S. market.
Financial capital and human capital are the two hardest things to solve.
Yeah.
But we hear you.
Yeah.
Martin, thank you very much. We hope, wish you the best of luck, and to the extent that we hopefully have connected you with some more resellers, it'd be a wonderful thing too. So.
Yeah, well, anyone who's listening, what we really need also at this point is if you have any warm intros to private label producers that would be interested in this type of model, send them my way, and we'll try to convince them to join Supliful, because we can literally 10x their revenue.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Martin.
Thanks, guys.
It is our pleasure now to welcome Egils Grasmanis. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Brain Games. Brain Games is the largest, most successful game company in the Baltics, I believe I read, and they're most known, or best known, for the Ice Cool game. But I think more importantly, Egils and his Brain Games firm have got a pretty differentiated story that we're really glad to be able to bring with you today. So, Egil, welcome.
Hello, nice to be here, and thanks for inviting.
Thank you. I guess let's start where you'd like to begin.
Sure.
Presentation is coming. Just click right.
Right. So Brain Games, yeah. I'll explain maybe briefly the history of the company and what we do. So we're all about board games, and it all started 20 years ago, actually, when a friend or a cousin of my friend brought a copy of a game from the States called Catan. And the first time we played it actually for more than a day in an apartment. And I skipped work because of the game. And it was something really mind-blowing, that a board game can do so much, can actually suck you in and give so much joy. So we went on, we felt that this game definitely deserves to have a Latvian version of the game. And we took the rights, made the Latvian version of this game, which is widely popular all over the world. And the game itself has been a great gateway game for many people all around the world. And we started distribution, these three young men. In 2004, we established the company and started selling the game in Latvia. Next year, in 2005 and 2006, I went to Estonia and Lithuania. We did the same. We did Estonian and Lithuanian versions of the game. So we started with distributing, bringing in games that are widely popular all over the world to the Baltics. And we were actually the first company in the Baltics that did something like that. So board gaming culture has been, well, yeah, we can tap on our shoulders of establishing kind of and promoting the gaming culture. In 2007, we opened our first board game store because we wanted to be closer to the consumer and to understand consumers better. In 2011, we felt that we are ready actually to start publishing games. And publishing for board games, tabletop games, is very similar to books. Every game has a game designer, and the game designer submits his or her ideas to a publishing company, and the publishing company then takes the world rights, develops the product, develops the artwork, material, and everything, and brings the game to different markets all over the world. And this is what we started in 2012. In 2000, sorry, yeah, that's one picture of our board game store. And currently we have 15 of them all over the Baltics. The game designer then is basically, well, the part of the game designer is he submits the idea. If the contract gets signed, the game designer receives royalties, and the publisher looks for different partners in other territories, so different versions of a game come out.
Keep going.
Okay.
I think there's a video at this point, no?
I think there should have been a slide, one more slide, or maybe there's a video. Oh, right. So before this, in 2015, we actually felt that we have in our hands as a publishers, we have two products that have a bigger potential on the international level, and we didn't give away rights to the English language to other companies. So I went to the States, we established Brain Games USA, and started doing, well, in 2016, we launched a game, and this is the picture actually from the fair in Birmingham in UK. We launched one of those games that we felt has the potential, iSchool, and it was sold out on the second day of the fair, and it received the UK Games Expo Best Children's Game, and we also actually received Best Card Game at that year at the same exhibition. And then also awards. So every exhibition that we went to with this game, it was a big success. Also in the States in 2016, we received Best Family Game Award. But the biggest of all of the awards in the game industry, in the board game industry, is the one in Germany. Called Spiel des Jahres, and we were very lucky to be nominated there in 2017, and with great surprise, we also won that award. So that was kind of the peak of our, the peak for us as a game publisher, but also as game designers, because and here's a short look in the game can we play the video?
Yeah, if you push next, it should start.
So the unique part of the game is the pieces that it uses and the field, how the whole board game is put together. It's a box in a box, so it's a smaller box, but once you set it up, it's a big board, and you're flicking around penguins trying to catch other penguins, and the pieces can do really nice moves, and this is what is really unique this is what got the attention for the game. For this game, the game designers, as you see on the box, it says Brian Gomez, but actually the game was designed by 4 of our employees, and Brian Gomez is an alias of 4 Latvian names. So it's an invented name. So we designed the game ourselves. This was obviously a big kind of success for us and brought us to more attention on the international level. So far, we have sold more than 500,000 copies of iSchool games. And it is really our flagship game. And this is the picture from the award ceremony in Germany, where the 4 game designers received the award, and our German publisher of the game. Yeah, so these are the 4 designers, and in how games are distributed is that we look for partners locally, but the US, as we decided to kind of not to give away the rights for US, we went directly and started selling the games, and the game got into Target, Barnes & Noble, and other key accounts in the States. With the success of the game, obviously we understood that we need to build on that IP, and we are keeping on publishing and creating new games under this IP, and iSchool Wizards is a game that will come out actually in 2 weeks, a new one under that IP. iSchool is not the only game that we are publishing, but none of the games has been as successful as iSchool. And this is something that I think with years we now understand we have to concentrate more on that game that works, because iSchool sells basically itself already. And especially currently, and also kind of in game industry, a big part of business is happening through e-commerce, and Amazon is basically taking over the biggest part in all of the markets. In recent years, with no additional marketing, the game has been selling really well on Amazon. So we are planning to invest and boost and have an additional boost for the IP and marketing activities through e-commerce and Amazon. Just to give an idea of so for movies, if I want to see a rating for a movie, I'll go to IMDb, and for board games there's also a similar kind of website where every gamer kind of ranks games and even counts how many times they have played the games. And for iSchool is actually the most rated children's game in that database. So we know that gamers love this game, and this is a big drive also for the game. And all of the iSchool IP games are in top 25 in the children's rank. Sorry, I have to see what's the, maybe we can, yeah, we actually, in 2018, we also had World Championship in iSchool happening here in Riga. So we had, and there were people from 17 countries participating, and the winner was from Canada. Just to, when we were creating the game, we didn't think of iSchool as a children's game. We created something that actually we loved playing ourselves, and as it proved itself in the competitions and in the World Championship, most of the players actually are grown-ups. And it is a skill-based game. And this is one of the reasons we also kind of we developed and kickstarted last year a different version of iSchool or a similar game that is not, because the reason why it has won most of the children's games awards, it's because of the theme, penguins flicking. But we did a Kickstarter for another game last year, which was successful, and the game is going to be delivered next year to gamers, which is kind of next level iSchool game.
Egil, if I could ask, because
Sure.
in a world of Fortnite and Grand Theft Auto and Madden for American football and FIFA for proper football, it's very video game centric. Like, how have you been able to have this success, whether it's at Barnes and Nobles or Target and other places? I assume they're all hard. I mean, they're not electronic. These are physical games, right?
Board games.
Did you find that there's a residual desire on a lot of people's part to actually have that physical game, that tactile game?
Well, it doesn't concern only our game, it concerns the whole industry, board game industry. And there is, although video games are obviously kind of also growing, but the board games are also kind of, the board game market is still booming. It's still a growing market, and is it is the biggest, probably not in the States yet, but in Europe it's the biggest part of the toy industry. It's the most growing part of the toy industry, of physical toys. And board games, the value actually of board games is, the big value of it is that it's an entertainment that lets us, people, socialize. We all dive in a world and forget about maybe everyday things, but it allows actually to connect also different age people. I can play a game with my children and my mother. We all can have fun on a game, and this is something this is one of the reasons why board games will never die. I mean, we are social beings. Yeah.
But would you envision eventually, whether it's Twitch or some of the other, electronifying this? Because you can't make a drinking game like electronic like you can, right? Whether it's your mother or your kids, it's one of the nice things about those games. But would you envision at some point, transitioning to not just a hard version, but then electronic as well? Or is that just not what you guys do and you kind of want to skate your lane?
Well, actually, there is an iSchool version on Roblox. And the company that we gave this permission to do the game, it's an Estonian company. They launched the game, but they didn't. Roblox is mostly for, well, to put it shortly, it wasn't as successful as the physical game, by far. But because, and especially iSchool, it's very tactile. It's very tactile. I mean, yeah, it's a.
I guess I don't know, we're getting up on time. One of the questions we got was from a watcher saying they've got family across the country, the US, and they all play online Scrabble together. Would you envision, if not this game, but other games that you would eventually, again, to develop the offering that Brain Games could bring? Because you have to all be together to play Ice Cool together, right, physically.
Right.
But would that be something that you guys, kind of like you did with the Catan, where you took the rights and you could Latvianize it, as it were, right, just to make it available, even if you're not physically in Latvia, you could still play with your Latvian friends, as it were?
Sure, there are games that are doing also very well in the digital world, and there is a separate kind of there are platforms that allow that, and we have also actually been working on a digital platform that would allow party games to play online through video conferencing.
I have two final questions. Firstly, can you tell us the story of Folded? Because it's actually very shortly, because I know it's up next, just how it's changing your company and what it's there, because I think it's very important for the viewers to know how you have relocated everything.
Well, we are still in transition of relocating, but Folded is a company that we co-invested in Riga, a packaging company that the idea was to actually produce board games locally here in Riga, because iSchool and most of our international games were produced or have been produced in China, but now we are moving all the production to Riga, to Folded box, yeah, this is something that we are also proud of. And Folded Box is not only board game producer but also packaging, and it produces packaging for many of exporting brands.
So that's very worthwhile to know also to our listeners, so they might be watching. And the second one is, what do you need and what can we do to help? So what are your next steps, and what can we assist you in?
Play games. Play more games. But since, as already mentioned, the market is really kind of also changing the way how product kind of from the idea, from the production to consumer. The parties involved are shrinking, and e-commerce and direct kind of sales are taking over more and more, and that's why, for example, Amazon reviews is something that is a big impact, and playing games. I mean, if there are, we really love to support the communities. Either it's board game clubs or schools or whatever. We always are. Very open to support, to send them games. We want to spread the joy of being together and spending, I think, one of the most meaningful times that board game experience brings.
I
think we're getting up against the clock, unfortunately.
Thank you so much for this, and we're here to really conclude the event, but also to share your presentations and really your contact, and if anyone can give you some insight or some comments or recommendations for your better success in the US market, definitely do so.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, just to wrap up, I guess on behalf of the Red Jackets, the Latvian Development Agency, and the Latvian American Chamber of Commerce, I'd like to, first of all, thank Mārtiņš Andersons, Mārtiņš Lasmanis, Egils as well, for sharing a little bit about what the American Latvian Association, what Supliful and what Brain Games are currently doing. As you may have seen in some of our communication, we're trying to make these mini spotlights as relevant, timely, and actionable and interesting as possible. So I would highly encourage, if you're watching this, to reach out, send an email to info@latvianchamber.com. We are eager for your thoughts, your suggestions, your feedback. We're doing 6 more of these mini spotlights over the next year and change. We definitely are looking to bring some more tactical, logistical of how could you, if you are in America, look to perhaps invest in a company like Supliful or Brain Games or in another type of enterprise that might catch your fancy. How could you become involved at a business level with a company like Supliful or submit an idea for a company like Brain Games? You know, our purpose here across these three organizations is to facilitate those sorts of one-on-one connections, which really are what make business successful. And I think we've already heard two examples today of just some really tremendously successful firms. I'd also like to thank, beyond our guest today, I'd like to thank LIAA for having hosted the first three by her lonesome, and then with me here today. LIAA and Eddie to do a ton of work putting these together. Christine Smelg at LIAA similarly does a ton of work to bring these. So on behalf of everyone else watching these, thank you, LIAA. And you know, lastly, I guess I would simply say we've got two more of these currently scheduled. The first will likely be on the 23rd of January. And the second would be on the 12th of March. We'll have more details as we get closer, but for those of you who like to jot down things that are 3 months out, please do put those dates in the calendar. And then lastly, again, I just would wish everyone a most happy and peaceful holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. It's been a very busy 2023, and I think on behalf of the Latvian American Chamber of Commerce, I think we're very excited about a very productive and successful 2024. So with that, LIAA, I'll give you the last word.
Yes, thank you so much. There is the virtual poll. So first of all, please take consideration of that and answer just these very small 3 questions to really help us in the promotion of our work and the development of these webinars. But actually, I truly believe that with each time we will meet, our progress is humongous, and we have so many case stories and really intriguing companies to introduce to you. So I think we are really doing our best to really put Latvia's best foot forward in really, and the 6 webinars to come throughout next year, and really going strong to Spotlight 2025, as well as all of the events that we have in between. And actually, I could definitely say that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, although there's not going to be a big World Latvian Economic Innovation Forum next year, as they are organizing every second year, we are currently planning these business seminars where we actually, with a group of experts and mentors, go to various countries. And we have currently a plan for Germany and Sweden, as well as the UK. So that is something happening also next year. And tomorrow, actually, we have a meeting at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to really see how, with the Minister, we can do our best to really promote Latvian exporters abroad. So I'm happy to really say that the work continues also amongst and beyond these webinars, and we really try to do our best to really showcase Latvia's creativity and business potential. So really feel free to share the short videos after they have been put online in our separate YouTube channel for Mini Spotlight as well. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and see you next time. Bye.